So, good morning, everybody. This is Jane Frizzell. She is coming to talk to us about forward and straight, which is a huge issue in the United States. And quite honestly, until I started riding with Jane, I didn't even know the difference or what it was, or that they were even words in riding. So, Jane, why don't you explain forward and straight, and then we can kind of get into the technical part of it.
Explain forwards and straight.
Well, so
I can. You know what? I think I think people first feel forward and straight when they feel a couple fantastic feeling strides in their riding, and the horse feels all together and unified, going where you want, no resistance. And that is the sensation of forward straight. Forward straight, they're two separate but co-acting technical requirements. And what forwards is that the horse is advancing his own weight, his own mass, deliberately to a chosen target, to a deliberate place. So he's not like Stevie Wonder, he knows where he's going and he's bringing himself there. And himself may include the rider's weight also. So that's forwards. And it's in the horse's mind. He's doing it. He wants to do it. He knows to do it, and he wants to do it. Because the most key feature of forwards is the horse's own desire.
So basically like a horse in a pasture.
Yes, a horse in a pasture marching towards the gate at dinner time. That horse is forwards. He knows where he's going. He wants to go there, and he's going there in the most efficient manner he can. Now, so the horse is going there. Now, a human's weight can disrupt that carrying of a young horse. And so straight is the second feature of the way of going. Straight means that he is carrying by and has his hind feet and front feet tracking the line of travel. So the left side is going straight to the left front or even the left snaffle, and the right is going to so I make it like train tracks. He's straight on each track. And the second feature is that his spine is covering the line of travel. Right. So train track feet, spine over line, those two features make the horse straight. And these two things really should be addressed very early on, because it is the way that God made the horse to go. Without these two features, as Steinbrecht and all the dead teachers said, you will either break the horse down or make him the boss.
Right.
And so every type of resistance fault, and even lameness will come if either of these two golden rules are neglected, whether that is from ignorance or negligence.
Right.
So that's about it. That's forward.
So then I have another question.
Yes.
And you talk about, well, I should say the dead guys, because I got my notes from the dead guys. They talk about spurs.
Yes. Yes.
Us Americans think spurs are to Yahoo, giddy up.
Yes.
But they're not.
Well, a lot of the Yahoos are very sort of vulgar with spurs. I have a campaign, don't wear your spurs in Publix. I don't like these cowboys clanking around in public with long rowels that they don't understand the purpose of the rowel or the spur. The spur is something, and my teachers, that we always wore spurs. In Robert Dover's barn, for example, Prince of Wales, that's the spur of choice. Tiny little things we wore as little kids in the hunter ring.
Right, little nubs.
Yeah, little soft Prince of Wales spurs. So the spur is intended for use during a phase or season of the horse's education. And
Mhm.
the spur's specific task is to cause, and the spur is used at the girth, and it's used in like
Yep.
tiny little, it's to fine tune.
A little tickle,
Yeah, they
like
call
our finger.
they call it, the French cavalry calls it les petites attaques.
Oh, perfect.
And it's usually on one side or the other, because
Right.
hopefully the horse is already going. We're not like, come on. This is
Yeah.
for like tee, 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 tee.
But it's to keep them going straight, to
It's and to
keep their butts in the proper.
show them the way, so we can
Yeah.
start to make their hindquarters match our eye, so that
Yeah.
his eye and his butt and my butt, so we all are on the same line. So the very specific use of the spur is to make sure that the hindquarters functions are matched left and right, meaning that his right butt is going mechanically identical as close as possible to his left butt, and that they're operating in as close to possible as in the same power or force or strength. And the second function of the spur is to strictly supervise the tracks, so that we were back to the train tracks. Oh, come on, little left hind, don't be wide. And what's so wonderful is when the horse feels what these tiny little adjustments of the spurs does for his body, he goes, oh, I can do that. Because then he's functioning in the most efficient, energy conserving manner.
Well, and then they come up.
Yes.
Then they come up.
Usually they go, and so that's why the man who explained this function of the spur said that it's actually a gateway to trust and submission, because the horse enjoys the feeling of going well. And one of my old dead teachers, Joao Oliveira, he called it vitamin S.
Vitamin spur.
Yeah, vitamin S.
I like that.
Yeah. It's just,
well, and think about it. Horses naturally want to go forward. They don't want to go backwards.
They care. Well, if you watch a normal, healthy, properly put together baby foal, they're all uphill. They don't travel with their one foot winging out. They go.
Yeah, like that beautiful picture we have of Xantos Z, where his left hind is literally further up than his armpit.
Yeah, because that's
he's a baby. He's a brand new baby, and he's uphill.
Yeah,
with his mommy. He's with his mommy.
Yes, motion is the element of the horse, and all motion starts in the hindquarters. And if it doesn't, there's a problem.
There's a problem.
That's usually,
and then if it doesn't, when they're older, we've done something for the most part.
Yes, we've done something. Yes,
sad,
but correct. I think accurate way to put it.
Yeah, which is so sad. So now I want to go into, because we're talking straight, there's what you call two lines of travel, straight lines and curved lines.
Yes.
So will you explain the curved line, because we've kind of gone into straight, and let's explain that, because then I have one more I want to go into after that, which falls into place.
So anywhere we're going, a pattern or whatever can be mapped out with straight lines and curved lines. That's, you could navigate anywhere you want to go using those two combinations.
A jumper course.
Those are the only types of lines there are, curved lines and straight lines. And a curved line is defined by the French and US Army as a circle or an arc thereof. So a circle is a turning line or a section thereof. And a turn is an acute turning line, is an acute curved line. So if I make a 90-degree turn, the section that is connecting, so let's say I'm traveling north and I want to change the line and travel east. There's a little connecting turning line in there.
So like this.
Yeah. So I don't know how to draw on the screen, but there's where the turn takes place you could draw a tiny section of a circle connecting those two lines. Now, the key feature about a turning line or a curving line is that the outer track is a longer distance. How do I show that? The outer track is actually a longer distance than the inner track. And yes, and so in a turning line, we engage the inside hindquarter of the horse. So it's like downshifting a sports car. The inside hindquarter travels a shorter distance, but because I've downshifted it, in effect, it has more power.
Right.
Yeah.
So then
precise ratios. Riding is ratios of carrying and propulsion.
Right. So then, because you said you're downshifting, that leads me into the freeway.
Yeah. Oh, that's yeah. In just a simple figure, the freeway or training on an oval, which is easy to do in arena shapes. We have a curved line, a curved line at each end and straight sides. So on a simple oval, we can gymnasticize a horse using both types of lines. And I really think of the two different lines as like, and I say to people sometimes, you have to, it's almost like you have two horses. You have your curved line horse and you have your straight line horse. And my turning line horse, my curved line horse, he's just loose and he's finding his inner engagement and getting organized on that inside. And then he comes to the straight line and he's now more settled into that inside hip. He's got more power. Then the rider comes level. And then on the straight line, he goes more forward uphill straight. And I don't know how I knew. I prove my turning lines with my straight exit from them. That's how I know that my curved line was used well, that my horse is more forward uphill keen as I'm exiting the softening, relaxing, exhaling.
Well, when you look at jumpers, for instance.
Pardon me?
Jumpers, for instance.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, jumper courses are just all.
Yes, it's all. Yes, and good jumper.
They're setting them up.
Yeah.
Then you see, as the horse is coming out of the turn, the horse's butt and hind
down and the horse is
strong.
Yes.
Because it's been, if the rider's good.
Yes.
It's been set up to come out of that last curve to go forward.
Yes. And the turn prior to any obstacle really is actually it's part of that obstacle.
Yes.
And all of us
don't have the strength of their butt, they're not going to be able to jump a 5-foot fence.
Yeah, they come out. How they're going to come onto that approach line is going to determine the takeoff. It determines the jump.
Everything.
Yeah. And so we prove things in the corners and turns. That's our opportunity to let the horse organize. And the features of a curved line that we train in are, I'm so soft and relaxed. I engage one side because all turning lines are unilateral, one-sided engagement. So I'm soft, I engage inside, I shorten my inner rein, maybe a centimeter, maybe an inch, commensurate to that one-sided engagement I obtain at the beginning of that turning line. And then I'm out of that line. And my horse is more engaged and keen than when I entered it. And he's had a little rest. He's been, I'm soft. Now I can go. Now I can attack again.
Yeah, they get ready. They go. They know somehow.
Yeah, they do know.
So then that also leads me into the majors, the airplane.
Yeah, that they land. Yeah.
Is the horse taking off or is the horse landing?
Yes, because all transitions are powered by the butt. If I'm taking off, the thrust is
The hindquarters.
sending the horse forward. And if I'm slowing down, it's like the plane landing, and the load bearing governs that thrust back and places it lower. Yeah.
So because it's so important that they use their hind end, tell me what happens to a horse if they're more on their front end than their hind end.
Well, one terrible example that I think there may be studies, but that I've always just thought in my mind is the high incidence of navicular and quarter horses in America.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean,
yeah.
why do these quarter horses why is there such a frequent diagnosis?
Yeah.
And because it's a concussion cancer in a way.
Uh-huh.
On the front feet of the
Just
horse.
because they're on their forehand so badly.
Yeah, and the breeding and the very bizarre riding has deformed them. It's deformed their body and their way of going. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and there's, I mean, like any, we could have a whole discussion on rider caused lameness, lameness.
Right. That well,
and like Steinbeck says in the explanation of Forward and Straight in his book Gymnasium, if the two golden rules, the forward and straight, are not neglected, every resistance, fault, and injury, let's say, that could permanently ruin a horse will occur during training. So the rider must be very committed and diligent to take care to maintain the active thrust that's governed by the hindquarters.
So you said rein lame. Now, you've been to Europe so many times and you've studied over there. Does that exist over there, that term, rein lame?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, it does. But I would say yes, it exists but there are bad riders everywhere.
Oh, yes, of course.
But I would say the incidence is lower.
Okay.
And one thing I noticed riding and doing business there is that the veterinarians they have more experience with soundness than veterinarians in America do. There's very few American vets who have ever worked on a sound horse.
Right.
They don't even know what a correctly muscled horse should be like. So that's a bizarre kind of.
It's very sad.
Yeah, it's changing though. Yeah, it's going to change.
I hope so. And that term rein lame, it makes my stomach flip because it shouldn't even be.
Oh,
if
no,
it says your horse is rein lame, you have effed up.
It is by
it's rider error.
The bottom line rules of riding, either by ignorance or negligence. Now, don't know, don't care. If you don't know the rules, then you're ignorant. If you don't care, then you're negligent. There's no excuse. There is no excuse for any rider trainer to not understand that these creatures travel forward straight.
And so that kind of
in the way they are made.
Oh my God. Like I said, watch any baby in the field running with its mommy.
Not any baby. You couldn't say that about some of these deformed quarter horses now. They are literally being bred to be in disease.
Broken. They're being bred to be broken.
They're being bred broken. Yeah. Ruined. Yeah.
It's sad. I mean, I don't want to say normal, but those horses aren't normal. They're just not normal. It's sad.
Unfortunately, it is the norm right now.
Yeah. And what I wanted to get into with what we were talking about is I mean, you have the most incredible course that you have put together and you are putting together.
Thank you.
And I think about school, right? You have taken all the hard work out of it. And you have read these books probably a zillion times each. And you have literally taken paragraph, sentence, word, whatever, by whatever, by whatever, and given us the most important pieces of all the books. And you've dummied it down. So even me, who, when we met that first day, I said, nope, I don't read books.
I know you did.
I don't think I'll ever forget that. I'm taking that to my grave. And now I yearn and thirst for what you've done. Because if
Well,
I had to go through the books and figure it out, I wouldn't do
we
it.
can't go through the books and figure it out. I couldn't. I could understand the books after I had been trained, because then
Right.
I started reading the books and going, wait, that's what
That's
the
what I
manual
did.
said. That's
Yeah.
that's this. And then I started to see, oh my goodness, they told us the whole thing here. But the
Yeah.
problem is that the books, they didn't have the media that we have these days. And so they
Yeah.
had to write the books out line upon line, precept by precept. If there was a digression to explain a problem, it turned into 3 pages. And then it was hard for a reader who couldn't, if you weren't associating it with actual writing you've already done, it's really hard to read those books.
You pretty much couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, it was impossible. So thank you for saying that I've taken the hard work out of the riding education. I don't think I have, because the hard work and the diligence and the commitment is still there. Every rider must have that.
We do.
But I have taken the mystery out of it.
Well, what you've done, and for me, coming from the hunter jumper world and not knowing a damn thing about anything, but get on and point and go.
Which is actually a pretty good idea, point and go.
Well, yes, it's actually talking about what we're talking about, but spurs were used to go, not to correct.
Yeah, not to straighten and go. Yeah.
And but even and I'm not saying this to be mean or anything, but just the basic pleasure, maybe backyard rider can take your courses that you have done, the
Yes.
ride verbatim basic military riding courses,
Yep.
and apply them
Yes.
because you've made it easy.
Yes. 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 Thank you. It is simple, and riding is simple because 3.5-year-old horses can understand it.
Yeah.
And what I like to say is that a rider, before they start to ride, should understand the general idea of what we want to impart to the horse or to the young horse, or to manage a more made horse.
Mm-hmm.
We have to understand it well enough that we can explain it to a youngster horse with our butt. We have to explain it to his butt with our butt. That means you have to have a pretty good, facility with the ideas of riding. And forward and straight are the 2 primary ideas of riding.
Excuse me, you can take all of the knowledge you've given us, any discipline.
Yeah, any discipline.
A trail horse.
It's all riding. Yes.
Trail horse.
Trail horse.
You know what?
Horse.
You're on a straight line walking.
Yep.
Miss Kelly. And you're like, think I'm going to load a little bit on my left hip bone. And what do?
Sit down,
boom,
left,
boom,
turn left.
Boom,
Oh,
boom.
turn left.
Yeah.
Yep.
My favorite thing that I still think about is the story of the terrified little girl, Dominique's stepdaughter on Xantos. I didn't know she was terrified to ride. I threw her up on there. And I was like, okay, I went and stood by Zanny's left hind end. And I said, look over your shoulder and look me straight. Just stare me in the eyes. What did Zanny do? Boom.
Turn.
Because when you turn, you load.
Yes. Yes. And we do also train the horse to the eye. The horses eventually become trained to the eye, which is ideal. And it was the major's #1 rule. And I believe it probably was the #1 rule of all cavalry, not only riding. I mean, navigar necess est. And the feeling of driving in the car, if you're the passenger in a car and the driver doesn't quite know where they're going, you can sense it as a passenger before he says, hey, will you Google what street do I turn on?
Yeah.
We can sense that someone doesn't know. And that's how the horses feel when their riders don't
never thought of that.
know. What
And
a
that's scary
terrible.
to a horse.
What if you had to ride around with someone for an hour every day of your life and you knew they didn't really know where they were going?
It would make me have anxiety.
It would make,
I'd be the tense horse.
yeah, that's a very good, yeah, I would, and I could actually see a horse being like, well, this sucks. I don't want to do this, shutting down or just,
That was Zanny.
I guess I have to bear it for an hour. Or,
Mhm.
oh, this person is very stupid. So I'll just plod along and play nice for an hour.
That was Xantos.
None of those are
Yeah.
outcomes that we want. No rider thinks to themselves, oh, I want the horse to tolerate me. Oh, I want the horse to resent me. Oh,
Right.
I want the horse to be terrified of the time we spend or anxious. Those are not what we want our horse to be. Yes, let's go. Let's do it together.
Yeah. They get, and I don't mean excited
Comes
in
from
a hot,
that comes from knowing, looking where we go.
a mile long and a mile high.
Yeah, the horses are ridden by feel, not sight. And whenever and fastening the eye on the horse's neck,
You know, if you're going to
destroys
ride
the
like
rider.
this, you're going to ride like this, which
It destroys the seat.
people
It destroys
who
it.
think they are top level riders do that. And I literally want to vomit. When you do this, it raises your butt
Yeah, it
off
puts the rider
and
on
it puts you on your crotch.
Yep.
And it puts
Pumps
all
the
the
upper back.
weight on the horse's front end.
Yep.
And that completely just confirmed what we said about lameness, rein lame.
Yes, that is an example. That would set up that cascade of, it's all tipping that way.
Like, I don't even know, and I don't, I've been out of the show world for a gazillion years, but I can't really even think of an American that has those beautiful eyes, like, let's say, Sanka, Ingrid.
Ben
I've
Verndal.
never seen a picture of either of them where their hands aren't, boom, they're not
Straight line elbow to
for
bit.
this,
Yeah, they're all
for this, and their eyes are always,
the US horse world. There is no, not anymore. I believe Stefan rides damn close well, but for me, there is no reason why a professional rider or even an amateur rider should have a riding fault that is in the diagrams we had in our Pony Club manual in 5th grade. There is no excuse for a basic riding fault in any rider over age 9, in my opinion.
And that brings us back. So if you're not laser beam mile long, mile high,
yeah, knowing
you're riding like this,
navigating.
How can you get your horse to go forward?
It's impossible for a horse to be forward if there is not a target destination.
Right.
It will all become counterfeit. And one of the primary things that is going on in the US dressage world and also Australia, it's also happening in FEI, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
People who have a degree of skill or talent that is untrained, they are forming the horse into the shapes they admire in a finished horse without the benefit of a line to define the shape. Does that make sense?
Well, they're doing it off that curved rein if they're up in upper
They're
level.
doing it off their own feel instead of the requirements of riding.
Because it's not from their bum.
Yeah, it's not from their bum and it's not according to a line.
Yeah, and it's so sad. Yeah, they're falsifying.
It's artifice.
Yeah. You nailed it. I can't remember, you just said it a few seconds ago, but
they're forming it in space, not upon lines going.
And it's so sad.
They're fiddling the horses into shapes.
Yes. And
forward horses make their own shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because these horses that are so forgiving, and I can just think of a few right off the top of my head, they just go and they try. And then when they get into the piaffe and the passage and all of that. And they're trying their little hearts out. And you can just see that their eyes and their ears aren't blinky and their mouths aren't free and soft. And they're just doing,
stressed because
yeah,
they can't do what is being asked of them.
yeah. Because the person's on their crotch with their eyes down. They can't even,
Person
because they
doesn't know what
can't-
they're asking.
well, but if the horse doesn't have a load to carry, it can't. And by load, I'll let you explain load. So when we say load,
that's the mass of the horse's own body plus that of his rider.
so when you say rider, though, because we kind of need to explain how we ourselves, I didn't know what load meant when we met. I had no clue.
The rider, the load of the rider is placed upon the carrying unit of the horse, the hindquarters, by being plumb. That's why they taught us in Pony Club. First thing, plumb dropping straight line through our ear, shoulder, through the hips, each hip and heel, so that it's aligned. See, then we can be soft when we're lined
over
up,
line.
drop. Yeah, it's a lined up line. Yeah.
So then if you say, okay, Michelle, you're going into your right curve, load your
load right. Yep.
Right.
Loosen all my joints, exhale. So the horse knows that he should relax his muscles too, so he can change the adjustment of his hindquarter joints.
Yeah.
Then I let my inside leg be longer. I'm sitting a little more to the right. That horse accepts that weight. We're all of a sudden traveling right.
That's what I wanted the example of. Yeah.
You can try it walking down the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. Relax your hip joints.
The best place I have found to do it is in the car.
One or the other, you'll turn. Pardon me?
The best place I have found is in the car.
Car is good. I think it's good to just experiment walking on a street too.
Everywhere. Yeah.
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 Because that's how bodies work.
Yeah.
I do. And so how bodies work, at risk of sounding like the biomechanic people, riding is already biomechanics. I don't know a biomechanical expert in the horse world who understands the way of going. That is forward straight.
Yeah.
That's what they should be researching and studying and doing scintigraphs of.
Yeah.
Forward straight riding.
Carry, go forward.
They said they care about the thoracic sling, which my horse, I say, oh, stay between my reins. That he thinks, oh, I better stay between my reins and go forward. Yeah. He doesn't think my thoracic sling must expand and lift like a boob job. No, he doesn't think that way.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
he thinks I follow my head.
Yeah, this is a topic that we could probably
that's
hours and hours.
Another good topic. Yeah.
But,
silly rabbit holes that people want to go down instead of learning the riding, which is full.
Well, they make it so. Well, you know why they go down rabbit holes, and this is just my own opinion.
They are avoiding learning the riding.
They are making excuses for themselves.
And they want to sound smart.
When all it is, straight lines, curve lines, use your ass.
Well said.
Keep your hands at the fluff. Keep your eyes.
Straight line elbow to bit is a real thing. Yep.
Eyes a mile high. The horse follows your eye.
He follows our eye. He follows our weight. He follows
he follows our eye because our eye, like I'm just doing this and I feel, pressure is not the word. It's a load. But for those who wouldn't understand that, it's a little bit of a pressure. Oh, right. We must be going right. Think about the jumpers again.
Yep.
If that person doesn't turn, he's got, let's say, a rollback coming up. If he doesn't do this over his shoulder, that horse is just going to go off to the left.
That's right.
Because it has no guidance.
But you see someone like, what's his name? Will Simpson. He sits there. He's a loose California guy. Turns around, horse turns around.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the old writers, Joe Farges.
You know what? It goes to Dersch. It goes to the definition of classical riding that is durchlässig, is that, as the Colonel Podolsky from the Spanish riding school said so perfectly, that the rider has the thought and the horse executes the thought.
It's so true.
It's so
Zanny,
true.
before Zanny was retired, I would just think as I'm coming into my curve line, okay, we're going to go across the diagonal. I just thought it.
Yes, and yes, and that's why we do have to start to be careful with our thoughts that we're, yeah.
Because writing is faster than speech.
Yeah.
Writing is faster than thought.
Correct.
Because these animals are so impeccably trained and they want to
brain to their nervous system and their going anatomy. They are the vehicle. We are the input.
Well, think about how sensitive they are to just a little fly, just a fly. Mm-hmm. So imagine our weight is much more than a fly.
Yes, it is.
You know, and that's what people don't understand is these horses are so, and I don't mean sensitive in a weenie like way.
They are keen.
Yeah. You know, and when someone yanks on their mouth or spurs them, you know, these poor
what
horses.
bothers me even worse than that, which is of course grotesque, is the people who are posing as sensitive and advanced.
Yeah.
That really bothers me.
Yeah. Well, we know a lot of
leveraging the horses around and
oh my gosh. So, okay, we could go forever, but I want to just say when you just did that, how about these people that are going down the center line and they're doing tempi changes and they're like throwing their weight to get the horse to change? I mean,
the tricks are for
horse. I wish the poor horse would fall on top of them.
That's the problem. That's the problem for the horses. Horses are so kind.
I know.
They will kill themselves trying to please us.
Yes. You know, and then you see like Sanka, Ingrid, Hubertos, and they're just sitting there and you might just see this. Maybe. Hands don't move. Hands are perfect. And that's because they're just loading and loading instead of throwing.
They're riding by the aids in the forward going.
So aids will be our next one because
okay, good. I love that topic.
Aids, we probably should have done aids first and then gone.
Well, that's a very fair point, but it's very hard to know where to start in the riding education, isn't it?
It is because it all falls into one category.
It is a system. And so you do have to have the overview. And that is really what I hope and hoped I could put in the prerequisite classes so that there is an idea of a system when we start. So then each element of the system can be addressed, but we have to, each element, just like the aids, coacts into a system.
Yeah.
And the rider and the horse are each part of the same system.
Right. And it's really an easy system. And
it's a very simple system.
I mean, if anybody can say it, it's me. You know, I came to you 20 years off plus, hunter jumper world. Not gonna read a book. You know, and
the hunter jumper world has tightened riding. It's tightened.
Oh, let me tell you. I remember Ringo, my dear, wonderful boy Ringo, who we lost to a broken leg. First time I ever got on him, and he was very well trained, and he was a rescue. We rescued him, and I got on him, and I rode him just like a hunter, and he was like.
The very well-trained ones are at the worst risk because they've submitted and they make their body open to the assault.
And so he was like, "What are you doing?" He was mad and then when you came and you saw him, and then we did the 2 months of just in hand work, and then I was learning because the in hand work teaches you how to ride.
Yes,
and when you had me riding him, how we are supposed to ride correct, he was so happy. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that horse. I remember that day that you got, it happened. The riding really happened. Yeah.
He was a wonderful boy.
Yeah, he was.
He was a wonderful boy. But anyways, we can talk about everything for a million hours. So, if people want to learn, and it's not your program, you've put the program
It's
together.
the program. Yeah, I consider myself the custodian of it, really.
Right.
And I
because you have just taken all of the literature from all the dead guys.
Yep.
And some of the alive guys.
My education.
And you've, like I said, you've basically made, what's that book called?
For dummies.
Yeah, however they say that. Yeah, it's the dummies, the book of dummies for riding, And so if people want to find your courses, which are amazing and they're not expensive compared to what these people spend for a clinic for maybe an hour ride, they spend $400 or $500.
Yeah, or they will not learn what they need.
No, because they're only being taught for that 1 hour. They don't have anything to go back on. I mean, this is
the clinic system has obviously
failed. What you've done.
The clinic
outlined it.
The clinic system has failed.
You've outlined everything. These are these incredible. You've done it.
Yeah, it is done.
You go, you ride.
Clinics don't work. They do not work.
Not unless you do it with, like, for instance, when we did it with Schumacher, but you prepared me.
I prepared you, and I told him that you were prepared.
And then, I read your information, which I don't read books. And, I had the clinic with him and he was amazing and he loved ZB. And then I came back and I reread because then I could put the words to my ass.
The thing is that I'm not a bookworm. I'm not that geeky. But the thing that's great about the books is that, and if they don't, everything that we're riding and training and learning, we should find in the books. It all has to match. And if something isn't in there, if all of our teachers, dead or alive, aren't saying the same things, that's a problem. Every decent trainer, every decent rider trains the same ideas, and those ideas are forward straight.
And the books say the same thing.
They confirm it. Yeah.
If
it isn't that, don't do it.
I mean, like the Majors book is the workbook, homework book for gymnasium.
Yes, it is. That's a great way to put it. It's the workbook for gymnasium.
Yeah. Well, like I said, so if people are interested, how do they find you?
Go to www.basicmilitaryriding.com.
Okay.
Right now, the classes are on the platform Udemy. I don't know if they're always going to be on Udemy. Well, the first 5 classes will always be there, but at some point, and for the second set of classes, they may be on a different platform, but you'll always be able to find them on basicmilitaryriding.com.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. It's so fun seeing you.
Okay. I think that went well.
I enjoyed it.
I love it.
Yeah, I think I loved it too. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, and you can clip the recording, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I can't clip. Well, if this live stream worked, our sillinesses are going to show up, but that's okay.
Oh, so are we on a live stream right now?
I clicked for the live stream. Let's see if it happened. This is the mystery.
Okay.